what Streamage said. Just nothing was going on, to be honest. And today's exactly the same. Nothing's been going on, but I figured, we'll come on and just chat for a bit. Um, but yeah, it's one of them. My PlayStation is my controller still stick drifting away. Um, I'm I'm slowly starting to lose my tether with it. I think I might just have to face facts and buy a new controller. I don't want to. I really don't want to because £60 when I'm see I can't even add videos now. This is pathetic. Um, there you go. We have no videos. We have no nothing. We're just, there you go. That's all I can give. I don't. Thing is, I'm tempted to use the last of my Christmas money because that's not in my that's not under my main finances. Like that's not. That is a bonus. But I wanted to use that money towards my graduation. But my graduation isn't until July, so I either. And the thing is, oh, why don't you just get a job? It's like, my job is my degree at the moment. My whole degree is preparing me. It is basically work experience. Like I don't really have the time. And student loans, they support you with that. So, excuse me, I've got a bit of chicken stuck in my teeth. But yeah, it's one of them. I keep moaning about it. I am just gonna have to sort it and get a new one. I'll try and get a cheaper one. Just so if it can last me, until graduation, because I know the first thing I'm going to be doing after graduation is looking for a job. I'm literally. I game when I come back from uni, just like how I game when I come back from work, when I do work. And when I have had a job, it's like I'm in a position where I can game and I will game. I can and I will because at the moment the only person I am physically responsible for right now is me. Which means I can. If I was taking care of someone else, like a kid or one of my parents, it's like, well, that's different. And even then, they still encourage me to do the things that I enjoy. But right now, I can't do the thing that I enjoy because my frigging controller is just not working. I tried playing a few games of Rivals, and it was just miserable. Like, it was genuinely really, really boring. Just seeing the controller drift off to the side or like And the thing is, as well, it's like whenever I try to explain, like what's going on, I make myself sound like an idiot because the truth is I don't know the technical terms. I don't know. I haven't done ICT in 9 years, 8, 9 years. I don't something like that. It's been a long time. Because I dropped it when I did my GCSEs. I never did it past year 9. So my technical understandings of things are very limited. And, if someone wants to break down what, stick drift actually is for me, then yeah, I'd be really grateful. But as of right now, I just haven't got a clue. And it's a nightmare. It is an actual nightmare. But it's fine. We will get a new controller. I'm trying to be a bit more responsible with my budgeting, but I think a controller is it's a fair compromise. I'm trying to treat it as if I take better care of myself, you know. Like yesterday, I cooked the nicest meal I've cooked in about 2 years. I won't lie, I made a fantastic like chicken roast. I'll call it a roast. It wasn't really a roast because I didn't take a whole chicken and roast it. I got I cooked two chicken breasts, and they were divine, honestly. If anyone wants any recommendations for anyone that eats meat, wants any recommendations for exquisite chicken breast fillets, Iceland. Iceland, Iceland, Iceland. I love Iceland. They're just brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. Um, I swear by Iceland. Yeah. And the good thing is, although the only downside is you only get four in a pack, and they're not too big, so they're not that big. So normally I'd have two. It might be that I just have one in future, but I just maybe had some more veg or something. I could do. I might experiment with it. I'm gonna make it again. Make it again, possibly during the week. We'll see how things go. I'd like to make it again soon. It was really nice. See how intense uni is this week. I doubt it's going to be that intense. It's all self-led stuff, but in that, that for me would be quite a nice thing to come back and do. But yeah, all in all, it's been really, really, really fun. It's been like uni wise. It's not been as fun coming back after Christmas because we've barely done anything. We've not actually met up as a group yet, and we're probably not going to until next week, if that. But yeah, it's been cool just to be back. I love seeing my family though. Like, I do miss them already. I haven't called them yet because it's been less than a week since I left, so it's kind of like I want to just settle back in first. I say settle in. I've got loads of stuff to do. Loads of stuff. I've been putting it off just because, I always put the degree first, and excuse me. Don't know why my voice went all quite low there. I mean, naturally my voice is quite low, so who knows. But yeah, I'm really getting bored of these Share Factory streams. I can't lie. I'm finding them extremely boring. But I'd rather this than nothing for now because streaming in my even when I've got no one watching, like streaming for me is it's my way of just releasing stuff. It's very therapeutic, honestly, which is ironic because I actually do. I'm almost finishing therapy, so it could be that you get a lot more streams. We'll see. Obviously, I want to be careful of what I talk about in streams because I don't want to accidentally dox anything or dox anyone. It's like I'd rather just keep that stuff private. With the political stuff as well, I, I always say I don't want to talk about anything political. In terms of like my definition of political, I honestly think I second guess myself too much with it because I'm not actually talking about, you know. Occasionally, I'll name drop someone that I don't like. I think the one that I will often name drop the most about my distaste towards is probably Andrew Tate. I think he's a twat. I don't like him. Excuse for language, but that's more opinion than political. I think the nitty gritty of what he stands for is getting more aligned on a social issue rather than a political one. But at the same time, like, events in the world and certain people, like, I don't want to talk about him. And he just kind of comes out because he's the one I probably hate the most. So yeah, I don't really know where that logic kind of comes from in my head, but the more I talk about him, the more I'm kind of getting my distaste for him off my chest. And it's funny because I'll never like him, I'll never agree with anything he says, but if I have a rant about him, if I have a rant about, or anyone that, thinks like that, behaves like that, I'm able to just kind of forget about it afterwards. So I think that's why whenever that kind of thing comes into my head, it's like it's easy just to rant about it, get it out of my system, and then I'll talk about it again the next time it bothers me. So I think that's why the streams kind of help in that regard. They just kind of make things easier, easier to process, easier to think about, and yeah, and that's why I love the streams. Really, that's why I absolutely love them. They just help, they really help. Um, Particularly when I'm talking about things I really like, such as Lego. Um, you know, I've got two main, you know, loves in this world that are not, people. People I love is different, but it's anything arts based and Lego. I mean, technically they're one and the same to me because you can be creative with both of them. There are infinite possibilities to both of them. I love them for that. But at the same time, I don't know. I just think that it's easier to enjoy it when you are like, talking about it more and not suppressing it. I used to suppress my love for Lego all throughout school. It was actually quite painful on school and on YouTube as well. Back when I was making videos and live streams, like back in the day. Um, but no, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Some of my favourite sets that I've built. Unfortunately, some of my favourites are no longer with me. They're probably, you know, smashed down in boxes now. Quite a few that I really enjoyed. I got the original 2016 Airport Battle. I got the Joker Land. The Joker Land was so cool. I remember that was one of my favourite sets growing up. I loved that set so much. Um, what else? So many good ones. The 2015 Death Star Final Duel. Obviously, I got the throne room diorama years later, but it was basically like a play scale version of that. And I just remember loving it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Then they remade it in 2020, and then they made it. They're remaking it again with the smart brick, but this time it's like with functions. And I spoke about the smart brick. I'm sticking with my diorama from 2023. I think that's the perfect version of that set. Hello, second viewer that's entered. I hope you're doing okay. Um, we are just having a bit of a waffle. Drop anything in the chat if you want to start a specific conversation about something. Ask my. Okay, no, never mind. I fucked off. Yeah. Drop anything in the chat if you're interested about, you know, I just want a bit of banter, hot takes, something like that. And hot takes, in my opinion, they are as political as you make them. They don't have to be political. They don't have to be massively controversial. Like I've got a hot take. I think Daredevil Born Again is the best TV show that Marvel's made. That's a hot take. That's a very hot take. A lot of people will disagree with me on that, but I don't care. It's my favourite one they've ever made. I like it more than the original Netflix series. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Netflix series has its things that they did better than Born Again, but you give the showrunners of the Punisher a bigger budget, and they will come up with something brilliant. But yeah, um, I suppose that is my hot take for the evening. I was going to say something else. I completely forgot. Completely forgot. Yeah, yeah. Look at this madness. Honestly, the stick drift is just a pain. It's like honestly, I don't understand why I've done my research. Like I've looked on Reddit. I've looked on different forums as to why stick drift happens so like prevalently in these controllers. But I don't know. We'll have another look now. Hang on, that's pretty cool. Sorry, I saw something on Reddit. Not him. He's a weirdo. We can talk about that actually. Sebastian Stan being cast as Harvey Dent. I completely forgot about that. I think that's pretty cool. However, I do think it is probably confirmation that Bucky Barnes is going to die in Doomsday, which I'm sad about, but at the same time, Bucky's had several like good ending points to his character. Um, you know, I just think like Bucky could have died like 4 times. He could have stayed dead in Infinity War. He could have died a different death. He could have died. I mean, I doubt they would have killed him off in Endgame, given how they did him in Infinity War. But yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Thunderbolts. He had all these. I think Doomsday is going to be the one where the Winter Soldier snuffs it. I'm afraid. But to see Scarlett Johansson and Sebastian Stan be cast in the Batman Part 2, I think that's really good. My one worry with both those castings is that they're heading for a Dark Knight route, which I don't want to see because I love the Dark Knight. And the reason why I think they're going down a Dark Knight route is because you've got Barry Keoghan as a Joker, you've got Sebastian Stan as Two-Face, or Harvey Dent. I think the best thing they can do is end the film with Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face rather than having it happen like midway through, like the second act. Because that way, you're not copying the Dark Knight, and instead you're setting up Sebastian Stan to lead the third film as the villain. You know, kick it off with with Harvey Dent like fully embodying the Two-Face persona, and have because I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed with the route they're taking the Batman Part 2 in. I was really hoping for a new villain, like an original villain that they've never done before, because there's quite a few Batman villains that we've seen, you know. Batman, Joker, Riddler. We've seen Riddler twice. We've seen Joker twice, more than twice. Jesus. Two-Face twice. Mr. Freeze, the Penguin several times. I know Colin Farrell is returning in the Batman Part 2 after now that he's had his spin-off series, which I thought was pretty cool. I never watched it. I want to before the Batman Part 2. But yeah, we've even had Bane twice, and Bane I think is one of the coolest. I want to see them do more villains for Batman. I feel like they're just doing the obvious ones. Like where's Firefly? I heard that he was meant to be the villain of the Batgirl film. Like Firefly's cool. I mean, we were so close to getting Deathstroke with the Ben Affleck Batman film, and then they just shoehorned into Justice League, which was the most random and most bizarre thing going. But you know, Deathstroke would have been so cool. Deadshot they've done twice now. No, they did Deadshot in Suicide Squad, the 2016 version. But like, what about Professor Pig? What about Man-Bat? What about the Mad Hatter? What about the more like obscure, like classic? I mean, Clayface is getting his own movie, and I think that is, I mean, I don't know how to feel about that one, to be honest. It's not in the Batman universe; it's in the Elseworlds. No, the Batman is Elseworlds. Clayface is in the DCU, directed by, well, James Gunn's not directing the film, but James Gunn is the head of the DCU. So we're getting DCU Batman villains before Batman. I don't get what that is. I think that's kind of stupid, if you ask me. I'm not a fan of that, personally. I'd watch Clayface after Brave and the Bold, but I wouldn't watch it before. just because I feel like it's kind of silly the fact you're doing a Batman villain before you're introducing your main Batman, and maybe it's because of the Dark Knight that they're not not the Dark Knight. Maybe it's because of the Batman why they're not introducing the DCU Batman, because they've already got one, and James Gunn doesn't want to make two Batmans in like the same year or something. But at the same time, if you market it clearly, it can work. Like I've done it with Spider-Man. Hell, we've been getting a new Spider-Man project every year for the last 10 years, I want to say. Yeah, it feels like that. But yeah, well, like with Batman, I say just get on with it. I think people are going to start losing interest if they keep dragging it out for too long. I mean, I can't lie. My interest has only picked back up because of Sebastian Stan's casting and Scarlett Johansson's castings. Outside of them, I'm not that interested in where the Batman universe is going. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the Batman. I thought it was way too long for a first film. I won't lie. There were times where I felt really, really bored. But also times where I was like, this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. I think the first sort of 20 minutes of the Batman were like some of the best I'd ever seen the character done. I do have my gripes with it. I didn't like Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Bruce Wayne. I liked his portrayal of Batman. I thought his Bruce Wayne felt very Edward Cullen. And I've actually seen Twilight. Yeah, despite I kept making the same joke, still a better love story than Twilight about anything for years. And I actually sat myself to myself, I'm like, I've never actually seen Twilight. So I watched the first one, and me personally, I went for a nap halfway through. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. I'll say this about Twilight. I think they've got some cool, like the house they chose for the Cullen house is stunning. I'll admit that. I really like that. I thought that was a great house, and in fact, it's a real house as well. That's cool. But everything else, it wasn't for me personally. With that being said, they're all back on Disney Plus, so who knows? Maybe I'll watch the rest. But yeah, the Batman. That's what we're talking about. I also didn't like the way Bruce Wayne treated Alfred in the Batman universe. I didn't like that at all. The Riddler, Paul Dano, is incredible. I remember Paul Dano from a movie, The Prisoners, starring Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. That movie was incredible, and Paul Dano was out of this world. And I knew as soon as I heard that he was going to be playing the Riddler in the Batman, I was like, right, bring it on. This is going to be great. And he was. In fact, I would honestly say that Paul Dano's performance was probably the best in the entire film. It was next level, like acting that. But yeah, Barry Keoghan as the Joker. Gonna be honest, I'm not looking forward to it. I don't like Barry Keoghan as an actor or just in general. To be honest, I think the stuff with Saltburn. When you improvise a scene like the grave scene, which is that's all I'm gonna say on that. It kind of makes me think differently of the guy. Like, there's connecting with a role, and then there's doing something as just fucked up as that. I mean, well, most of my target audience, I did between 18 and 24. I guess we can talk about it. He fucked the grave in Saltburn. The movie's been out for ages. If you've not seen it, I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna shy away from what I feel about it. He had sex with a grave, and that for me was just I mean, the writing for that I thought was ridiculous, but the fact it was improvised. In fact, let me just fact check myself here. Let's make sure I'm actually. I remember seeing it somewhere that it was improvised. Saltburn grave scene. Because if it was improvised, then yeah, he improvised it, which that makes me feel sick. If I'm being honest, like that is just disgusting. That's just disgusting. I really did not like. I made jokes about the movie because of how uncomfortable it made me feel, and that's kind of how I respond to things that make me feel uncomfortable. I tend to take the piss out of it. Um, but yeah, that movie was diabolically bad in my opinion. That film was just the worst. It was honestly. I've seen dog shit films, but that, in my opinion, was just that took the cherry on top. Um, Saltburn was, oh god. I mean, the cinematography was brilliant. I think they shot it really, really well. But the writing, the acting, the improv, um, hated it all. Hated it all. I thought it was just, I think the twist at the end was pretty good. I'll admit that. That was the one saving grace of the film, the twist of all of it being planned out. That was great. That was, well, great's a bit of a strong word for that. It was good. But everything else leading up to that was like, that was just, what? It's one of those films, I could watch it again if I was drunk with my mates. That would be it. And I don't drink much anymore. Or I don't get drunk anymore. Haven't been drunk in over a year. That's all I'll say on that. Yeah. I think we're going to call it here, just because I wanted to do another short one. And then when we get the controller situation sorted, we will have a good stream. We'll have a long stream. But yeah, for now, that is going to be me sort of wrapping things up. And I will probably see you guys in the week, maybe. We might have a weekday stream. Who knows? Alright, that is it from me. Thanks, everyone. Take care.